After completing the Somnium files, I like to think of myself as a detective. And as a detective, it's important to follow any crumb of evidence to solve a case, especially if it leads to the lunchroom? You're watching Welcome Matt to the World. In this episode, we take the reins of Eugene McQuacklin, a down-on-his-luck duck detective in Duck Detective: The Secret Salami, developed by Happy Broccoli Games and was released in 2024. We're recently divorced and no longer on the police force, and so we decide to become a freelance duck detective to help pay the bills. We're willing to take any case, no matter how big or small, even solving murder cases.
Who is the murderer?
What? No one died!
Maybe not murder in this case, but we do get a call from someone at Bear Bus, seeking our wisdom, and with no cash and rent due, we take the case. It's rainy when we arrive, the classic backdrop for any mystery. A protester outside complains about the buses running hours late, which we learn is a little strange as the bus routes aren't terribly far distances. There's not much we can do about that though, and so we head inside and manage to get into the back room by deducing that the giraffe receptionist, Sophie, is sad that no one remembered her birthday. In the back room, a bear and a cat are talking. The cat, Laura, wants someone fired for not doing their job well. We learn is Freddy. The bear, Manfred, greets us and lets us know that the reason we're there is because there's a lunch thief about, though he wasn't the one who called us. He's the branch manager and seems to really care for his family. We also meet Freddy, the alligator, who's the lone operating operator. He seems to be our biggest fan and is excited for us to be there, but he's kinda lame, and also seems to really like salami, as he's got a duffel bag full of it next to his desk. But we decide to not ask him about it and instead make our way to the crime scene. In the lunchroom, we meet the penguin janitor Rufus, as well as the sheep named Margaret. She and Laura are the two working in the call center, though Margaret seems to be making some sort of foodstuffs as we enter the room. We mosey around Rufus and Margaret and make our way to the refrigerator, where we learn that the lunch was stolen by none other than the Salami Bandit. Freddy comes to mind immediately, as he has a bunch of salami near him, but we decide to look for more evidence first. Checking outside, we meet the bison bus driver Boris, who apparently likes to just hang out in the rain by the buses. Inside the bus, we find another duffel bag that's similar to Freddy's, but he says it isn't his, though it's full of dirty gym clothes, and Freddy likes to go bouldering.
When Freddy took the bus back, and he went to pick up his luggage, he must have picked up the wrong bag. This happened because there was another bag that's identical to his. The bag that he picked up belonged to the Salami Bandit. This made him a target, and to get rid of Freddy, the Salami Bandit decided to frame him.
The pieces are all starting to fit together, but before we can really find our groove, we're interrupted by Margaret and get roped into a surprise party for Sophie. The festivities are cut short, as one of the presents is full of salami with a note attached to it. The note has a secret message in it stating, "Be quiet or else." The Salami Bandit seems to be threatening Sophie. First, Laura's lunch, and now Sophie's surprise party. We need to act fast before the Salami Bandit strikes again. Who knows what his next target will be? Freddy's fraternity? Boris's bus? I shudder to think of what the Salami Bandit has planned. We look for more evidence, taking us outside where we notice the imported goods sign near the buses. We learn that not only is the Music Man not allowed here, but also no meats are allowed of any kind, including salami. Something nefarious is going on, and we can't quite put our beak on it.
Western goods are prohibited from entering and being sold in the East. This is why the Salami Bandit decided to make a business out of buying high-grade salami in the West, smuggling it to the East, and selling it at a high profit. Also, For some reason, Sophie received a letter from the Salami Bandit that had a hidden, threatening message.
Before we can delve deeper, we find out that Sophie quit her job and left. The last number she called was for the local police. It would be strange that she would call the police right before she quit, unless she knew something. We look around the office further and open a safe in Manfred's office, finding out that he's being extorted by Rufus, so that Rufus can be Employee of the Month and get a TV for his room. We also discover that Rufus is doing shady side business with Margaret, but we're hired to find out who the Salami Bandit is, as they're the one who stole the lunch, our reason for coming to Bear Bus in the first place. We parse out the details to uncover that Sophie was kidnapped by the Salami Bandit, as she knew too much and needed to be dealt with. We go through our evidence one last time and notice that the handwriting on the letters by the Salami Bandit matched the handwriting of Manfred's note to his family.
This is how everything went down. The Bretzel Bearbus branch was suffering losses and had their budget cut as a result. Manfred, worried about the financial stability of his family, felt himself backed into a corner. This is when he became the Salami Bandit. He made his grand plan of salami smuggling and realized he couldn't do this alone. He recruited Boris, since it would be easiest for the bus driver to load and unload the wares discreetly. The bus would go through a customs check at the Salsiccia bus station first. And then Boris would take a detour to get the salami and load it onto the bus. This is why the buses always had a huge delay. It wouldn't be easy to talk Boris into crime, so Manfred convinced Sophie to join the team. Boris's obsession with her would make it easy for her to manipulate him into helping with their plan. Everything was going well until the Duck Detective, that's me, infiltrated the office. Freddy was meant to be the scapegoat for the crime, but I'm not fooled that easily. Sophie began getting cold feet and ultimately wanted to confess to the police. Manfred couldn't have this, so he interfered. In an outburst of panic, he abducted her and hid her in the luggage compartment of one of the buses. And this is why Manfred stole Laura's lunch!
We decide to only have Manfred arrested, simply because we were hired to find the lunch thief, and if we're not going to pay any mind to extortion and embezzling illegal bus vouchers, we don't really need to pay attention to Salami either. We're really just using the salami imports as a reason to have the police arrest him for his lunch crimes. Maybe the office shouldn't be in business though, as everyone except for Laura and maybe Boris don't really seem to do their job that well. As we leave the property, we realize that we haven't gotten paid, and to our dismay, have to settle going home with Freddy. Duck Detective: The Secret Salami was a fun little game, and I'm excited to try the sequel, The Ghost of Glamping. I enjoyed the art style of having the characters essentially be stickers. Also, it may be coincidental, as the developers are headquartered in Berlin, but I thought Eugene was a neat name for the detective, as my mind went to Eugene, Oregon, where the university's mascot is a duck. I also like that the story didn't take itself seriously, and stated itself that there were other crimes that were committed, and that we didn't care about them because it's not our job. There were a couple of deductions that maybe I just missed the clue, but I had to guess in order to progress. But as a whole, it wasn't terribly difficult, which helped the game and story flow well. Especially compared to the Somnium Files, where there were times where I spent way too long on a puzzle which bogged down the game for a bit. Also, unlike the Somnium Files, the crime was pretty mundane. Sure, someone got kidnapped, but really, other than that, the only time someone got hurt was from a broken heart. I haven't seen Zootopia, but something carnivores and herbivores can live together in harmony, and I'm all for that. I think something to note, though, is that the Secret Salami isn't a long game. and doesn't have replayability, and so your mileage on this game is fairly limited. That being said, as mentioned before, I'm excited to try out the sequel, and as it's well reviewed, I'm hoping that they continue the series, as for the entire 2 hours that I played this one, I had fun. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Let me know in the comments what other lands we should explore next. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.